Joining us now is Okpe, which story is trending around the world. Hello, Jim.
Happy Friday.
Yes, thank God it's
Good
Friday.
Morning.
Yes, good morning.
DGIF. Good morning, Tundu. How are you?
Good morning, I'm great, thank you.
I'm going out with you tonight. I knew you were going to smile. Good morning, Rafai. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Audrey. How's it going?
I'm doing very well. Happy Friday, TGIF. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United Kingdom, Royal Mail has invited orders for new stamps in memory of the late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, who died last month. The stamps, which will feature black and white photographs of the royal, will be available on June 24. And Madame Tussauds has now decided to move waxwork models of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to the Hollywood zone of its facility, away from other members of the House of Windsor. In the United States, more than 100 retired military officers, tagged Flag Officers for America, have written an open letter to President Joe Biden, questioning his mental and physical condition. In Myanmar, former beauty queen Ta Tet Tet has taken up arms to fight the military junta alongside other citizens who have embarked on a revolution against the country's military. In Zimbabwe, rhinos have been reintroduced to the country's second wildlife park, Gonarezu. It is the first time the park will be home to the species in 30 years. In Nigeria, a video of what appears to be a giant catfish, almost the size of a whale shark, caught by community fishermen, have made the rounds. Under sports, about 2,000 Manchester United fans on Thursday descended on Old Trafford to protest against the Glazers' ownership. 2 people were arrested, and a Liverpool team bus was blocked. Finally, under entertainment, comedian Ellen DeGeneres on Thursday revealed that her decision to leave her show of 19 years had nothing to do with toxic workplace claims in an interview with Savannah Guthrie.
I really didn't understand it. I still don't understand it. I thought something was going on that because it was too orchestrated, it was too coordinated. And, people get picked on, but for 4 months straight for me, and then for me to read in the press about a toxic work environment when all I've ever heard from every guest that comes on the show is what a happy atmosphere this is and what a happy place it is. This show has been the greatest experience of my life, and I owe it all to you. Thank you.
Tundu, I am going to miss Ellen. I mean, it's happening next year. But this is what happens, how rumors spread. I could not believe that people were talking about the fact that she was going to leave the show because of toxic work environment. I mean, Ellen is like the happiest person. Her motto is like bringing joy, really, to people. It's so sad.
Well, how on earth do you know that she's the happiest person?
Well, she brings me joy. She
image.
Brings me joy. Yes, that's what I meant. Yes, exactly.
So the reality might be different. We don't know. But
she did say that she does experience depression. She did say that in that interview. So
it's not even about depression. It's the way she allegedly treats people.
Yes.
But for me, what I would say about Ellen, I've always been a fan of Ellen's because as a comic, I noticed that she does not get her laughs at the expense of other people,
right,
like a lot of comedians stoop to doing. So I always appreciated that. And I was surprised by the allegations about how she doesn't allow people who work for her to make eye contact. They're not allowed to speak to her. Bullying, racism, that shocked me. But yeah, so it's the end of an era. And sometimes, I don't know how to put it. This is, for me, cancel culture strikes again, And so I regret that this is how the show is going to end. If it was ending because she's moving on to something else, it would have been preferable for me, personally.
Well, that's what she said. She said that it's done for her. It's not as challenging anymore. That's really why she's leaving the show.
What she said and the reality might be different, though, because when you look at the ratings, it drops. Sponsors reportedly didn't want anything to do with the show. Celebrities did not want to be booked on the show. So really, the writing was on the wall. So it's unfortunate that this is what has happened, rather than, if that allegation was true of the toxic workplace, rather than giving her the chance to sort of turn it around, that everybody just abandoned ship. It's unfortunate.
I see, but I'll miss her.
I liked Ellen.
Yes. Well, let's begin what's trending by recognizing Onem Tynar Miracle, a councillor in Bayelsa State, for building a bridge that will link members of a community to adequate health care and security. The councillor, who was elected into position in 2019 on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, said she started thinking about building the bridge ever since she was a child because she saw how crossing the only wooden bridge in the community where she hails from posed a threat to her parents and other community members, especially the elderly, as most would get injured while crossing the bridge. Honorable Onem began working on the bridge project using 2 million naira allocated to her for constituency project. When she exhausted the money, after achieving just 35% of the project, she was left with no other choice. She then decided to add 2.6 million naira the governor of the state, DeGeneres, gave to councillors to buy official cars into the project. The bridge was finally completed with the help of the governor. Tundu, I hate to say it, but I have to say it. This is what happens when you put a woman in a leadership position.
Go right ahead and
how amazing is this?
I love that you said it. I'm so proud of her. What an Amazon. And for me, this shows, apart from, don't send a boy to do a woman's job. I like the fact that she grew up in that community.
Yes.
And this is the difference between people entering politics to serve and those who enter just to amass power and amass wealth. This is also the point of having a local government, a viable, fully functioning local government. That's the closest to the people. So at the grassroots level, they identify what the community needs, and people like Blessing actually serve their community and give them, because she was talking, I read the article that you sent, about a monkey bridge, which sounds really flimsy and was causing injury to so many people. And she decided to sacrifice and step up. And when she ran out of funds, the governor decided to meet her where she was and help her. Now, if she had never started, then the governor might never have actually
She was discouraged the whole time.
Yes,
she was discouraged.
I'm so impressed with her.
Yes, Dr. Abati, your analysis on this
Well, this is a councillor that was elected from Okpe Ward 2, Okpe local government, under the platform of the People's Democratic Party in 2019, and who said that she identified a major need in her community. She grew up in that community, and growing up, she saw that this was a major challenge. This was a major challenge for that community, and she thought that one day she would help her people. And so when she became councillor and they gave her 2 million naira as a ward allowance and an additional 2.6 million naira for her to buy a car, she decided to put that money to the service of the people. And by doing this, she has solved a major problem. The people could not go to the farms. If they were going to the farms, they would probably fall off into the creek. They would sustain injuries. Old people were most affected. There was a police station across the village. Nobody could access that police station. If there was any crime incident within the community, the police would have to take a roundabout tour to be able to come to the community. Maybe by then, the persons to be apprehended will have disappeared. Now, she then saw that as a major target, and she put her money into it, and she got support from the state governor at the end of the day. So I think our example, our heroism should be commended, a commitment to service, a commitment to patriotism. She has not only provided a bridge that will allow the people to go to farm, she has also provided a bridge that will allow the police to be able to access the community.
Correct.
She has also provided a bridge that will link our community with other parts of Okpe Ward 2 constituency. So, okay, a woman. That's fantastic. That's great.
So we'll have to go on a short break now. And when we return, what's trending on the morning show? We'll continue. Stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show. We're still on What's Trending. Dr. Abati, before we went on a break, you were commenting on the Honorable that built the bridge in Bayelsa State.
After commending Honorable Miracle on them and also the governor who provided support and the implications of our heroism, I was saying that there are persons who also need to learn from our example. She's just councillor. That's about the lowest elective position within the democratic hierarchy. There are local government chairmen who collect more than 2 million as, a constituency allowance. What have they done with it? There are members of the National Assembly who collect lorry loads of money as constituency allowance. That has been controversial. What did they do with it? I mean, you must have seen pictures of some members of even state houses of assembly who in their own constituencies, where they had the same problem with bridge, the only thing they could construct was a monkey bridge.
Why did I know you were going to talk about Desmond?
No, I don't want to mention, no, I'm not the one mentioning the name, you know, but there are persons who have been called out for constructing monkey bridge.
Correct.
And this is a lady, you know, in some village in, Bayelsa state, who said, look, of what use will a car be to her if there is even no bridge to take the car across her state? I think, you know, the commendation is in place, and the state governor should go beyond just supporting her. That is fine. But now that she has done this for our community, and she has shown a sense of service and commitment, that vehicle allowance, that car that she deserves, I think the state government should make it available to her.
Oh, that's a very
in recognition of
yes, she has earned it.
her seriousness
Rufai,
of purpose.
Your take on the story?
Very big congratulations to her. I'm thankful that, I mean, fresh breath of hair, good news. At least we can come here and talk about good news. I'm really happy about this, and this is really, 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 really amazing, I should say. But for me, all has been said. But my challenge will be, how can we make this the base minimum standard for leadership in the country? Because you see, the problem with Nigeria is the fact that we just have pockets of excellence in leadership, pockets here and there. And we talked about the lawmakers that have collected over 1 trillion naira in constituency projects in the last 10 years, and nothing can be shown for it. I mean, we all saw during the NSAS protest how people invaded home of lawmakers in Ibadan to take away motorcycles that were purchased for constituency projects, and they were just kept in the homes and things like that. But how can we have this across board so that we don't just get to celebrate Miracle alone? Because I believe when we have this across board, that this is the base minimum standard, and anybody that gets elected to an elective position in the country truly wants to serve the people and go out there and fight for the people and use their own money to serve the people, I think the country will be a whole lot better. So it's good to celebrate this. I celebrate Miracle. Great. She must do more. She deserves everything. She deserves all the accolades she gets. But the truth has to be said. The real leadership challenge is, how can we elect people that will be like Miracle in the 774 local governments of this country as chairman and councillors and state lawmakers and federal lawmakers that will bring money out of their own pockets to benefit their community, irrespective. And if we solve that challenge, then Nigeria is on the pedestal to good leadership.
Very well said, Rufai. We'll take another story. The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, on Thursday announced that in an effort to address insecurity in the country, the federal government will resuscitate the special terrorism prosecution courts. According to the Attorney General's media aide, the courts are to bring to book all those found guilty in connection with terrorism so as to serve as a deterrent to others. The court will also prosecute the 400 suspected Boko Haram financiers identified by the federal government last month. Last week, the Attorney General came under fire for claiming that he is unaware that some Nigerians were opposed to the de-radicalization of former Boko Haram members. Well, let's take a quick tweet from Levi, who wrote, "Has the federal government created special terrorism prosecution courts in the first place that is to be resuscitated? What of those so-called repentant Boko Haram members? Have they not had connections with terrorism? I don't think we can make a meaningful impact if we don't avoid lukewarm attitude." This is the rhetoric. A lot of Nigerians don't even know that there is a terrorism court. So there are those courts, right? How is it that they are de-radicalizing Boko Haram members instead of trying them in the courts? That's the outrage a lot of people are talking about. And you know, last week we were going to take that story where the Attorney General claimed that, you know, he was unaware that people were opposed to the fact of de-radicalization. And the point now goes to show that if he's unaware about that, what is going to happen to these people that, even the 400 Boko Haram financiers that were identified last week, the list has not been out yet. Nobody knows what's going on with that, even.
So this is an issue.
Yes.
We do need to have names. 400
Correct.
financiers sounds great, but we need details. Now, this idea of the special court, I want to go back to that. It was mooted last month by former President Olusegun Obasanjo and Sheikh Gumi when they had their meeting. But personally, yes, I understand what they're trying to achieve with special courts, similar to what we had in the military era with tribunals for speedy administration of justice. But there were court practice directions of 2013 that deal with criminal matters and how they ought to be speedily dispensed with. So I think that could suffice rather than the need to have special courts at all. And as for this de-radicalization issue, I don't have any objection to anybody being de-radicalized, but as long as they're serving their term in jail while the de-radicalization is happening, we can do both. You must go to jail for those offenses.
Well, he said that they had identified them, the innocent ones were de-radicalized. So that's the point.
No, if you're innocent, then you haven't committed a crime. If you committed a crime, you must serve a jail term, and then you can be de-radicalized. Or you can be de-radicalized concurrently, but that jail term must be served. Justice must be seen to be done. You cannot commit a crime and get a slap on the wrist, especially not a crime with the gravity of terrorism. If you've been convicted, you must be jailed, as far as I'm concerned. So that de-radicalization seems to be, yes, a slap on the wrist. It seems to be like there's sympathy for these people rather than having sympathy for their victims who demand justice. That's really the issue for me.
Yes, well, we're still waiting for the identity of those 400 Boko Haram financiers. Dr. Bati.
Well, the Attorney General is quoted as having said that the plan to have a special court is to ensure that issues of insecurity are dealt with, and that it's part of government strategy to deal with the challenges of banditry, kidnapping, terrorism. In principle, that is fine, but we need more details. Some of the papers reported that the government is going to resuscitate special courts to deal with terrorism. At the moment, there are no special courts.
That was
dealing with terrorism. So if you say you want to create resuscitate.
Resuscitate, yes.
No, there's no such thing. What we had was that under the military, we had the military creating special tribunals, maybe a firearms tribunal, special armed robbery tribunal, which were special courts. Yes, there are persons who have been making the case for special courts to deal with terrorism, kidnapping, money laundering, and all of that. But the ancillary questions that we need to ask is this. Those judges, those personnel that you are going to take from the judiciary to these new courts, these special courts, okay, where are you going to find them from? Even at the moment, the judiciary is understaffed. They do not have enough personnel, you know, and then that will also have cost implications. So there's one thing about the principle, there's another thing about the operationalization. Yes, in 2013, June 6, 2013, Justice Auta, as the head of the Federal High Court, issued that practice direction that Tundu referred to. But that practice direction was about accelerating the hearing of cases, you know, related to money laundering and kidnapping and banditry and terrorism. And these are cases that are dealt with by the high courts. Now, what you can do, perhaps, is maybe to create special courts within the existing federal high court system to deal with those issues. But then there will be other details that the Office of the Attorney General and the NJC and the entire judiciary system will have to worry about. But as for quick dispensation of justice with regard to security matters, which affect everyone, which everyone is saying that the government of Nigeria will need to deal with, we cannot argue with that, you know, but the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation will need to provide us with more details in this regard so that there can be a robust conversation, robust inputs from various stakeholders in this regard.
Rufai, your analysis on this story.
I think with the creation of this special court, I think we're just sugarcoating bureaucracy. That's what we're doing. We have a lot of courts on ground that we can use if we speed up the processes as regards dispensation of justice. How about we fix the process that comes with our court? I've been to the courts in this country. It's quite a very laborious process because nobody is ready to do what is right for the courts across board, even the Judicial Council and the likes, and everybody involved in that ecosystem. So creating a special court will not make it quicker. And the talk for me about de-radicalization, I don't believe in that thing called de-radicalization. And I call it thing specifically. I don't believe in it. Because at first, what are the methods of de-radicalization? And these are ideologies, these are long-held ideas. And it's been proven that people that were jailed and given, you know, freedom to come out of jail because they were of good conduct in prisons and things like that, and they had ideologies, came back to offend, came back to attack other people. Another case in point is one of the repentant bandits. We all remember the story, that repented recently, only for him to go to the bush again, and he was killed. So it's a way of life, it's a thinking. And I don't think that all of a sudden we can de-radicalize somebody that has been radicalized. It takes a lot. Look at what France is dealing with today. I mean, military officers in France, some military officers had to come out and write a letter to the president of France to say, oh, let's be careful. We are seeing a resurgence of Islamists, not Islam. There's a big difference we should distinct between Islamists and the religion of Islam. It's a beautiful religion itself. And you can see the challenges they are facing in society because of a lot of people have been radicalized. So when you say you de-radicalize them overnight, I don't believe in that. They should go to jail. The full weight of the law should come back on them. And after, when they even leave jail, if they claim they have repented, they should still be followed. We should tag them. We should look at them critically because these people are still a danger to society. And we must sanitize society. But most importantly, in all of this, we have to say that in all of this conversation, I do not hear any conversation about the victims of this attack. The emphasis have just only been on the people, on the terrorists that are being renewed, that are being taken to school again or de-radicalized. I don't hear enough funding for the victims of this attack, people that have been rendered homeless as a result of this attack, people that live in IDPs that have lost their livelihood. We don't hear a lot about them. And when you don't cater to the victims, it looks as though they have suffered in vain. And that's where the conversation should slant to for me.
Well said. We'll take another story. 2 men and a mobile police officer on Thursday went on a mission to rob a resident in Lagos, posing as agents of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The trio, Pascal Ugu Chijoke, Sadiq Ibrahim Adekunle, and Edwin Bassi, stung the residents located in Lekki with a purported court order wearing printed anti-graft agency jackets with fake ID cards. The trio gave the court order to the security men at the residence to gain access to the victim's property, which was at the time unoccupied. While carrying out the robbery, the security men noticed that the court order was fake and immediately proceeded to stop the crime.
Come here, shout. This one, I say I put out for good. No, we need to carry them up there. You know what you do? Now they back now. This one drop from this one for land, sir. No, this one drop also. This one drop. This one jump. This one for land. Where Mopo? Where the Mopo? Where Mopo? Don't be there. Just secure these people. Okay.
Tundu, it is the effrontery for me. I mean, this is what happens when there's so much poverty in the nation. The audacity to actually create a court order and go into a residence to rob baffled me.
I just think it's really shocking, and I think the security person who was on duty should be commended for his quick thinking.
Correct.
He didn't fall for the scam. He actually investigated it, and thank God that he did. It's just so sad that people can set their mind to a project, an enterprise like this, rather than use it to do something productive for themselves. They're in an enormous amount of trouble. Apart from the crime they attempted to commit, they're already going to probably be convicted of impersonation of security operatives. That is a crime in this country. And I think that people do need to be careful. You do see EFCC operatives going into people's homes. We need to all get used to the idea of demanding ID. I know a lot of Nigerians are scared to even challenge police officers because, police brutality, you might get, assaulted for your efforts. But the police too must make an effort to show their ID. Although these people had fake ID.
They did.
So if they had been asked for ID, they were even prepared.
They were completely prepared. Well, what would happen to that mobile police officer? He's an inspector, as I've been told.
Well, I mean, what else, have we not desecrated in this country? Is there anything that we still hold sacred, that we protect, that we have built a consensus around as something that is important to all of us? We have fake policemen. We have fake civil servants. We have fake soldiers. And now on top of it, they're talking about fake EFCC officials. It just shows you the extent of the rot in the Nigerian society and the extent to which we seem to be losing it in virtually all directions. Now, these particular 3 persons, 2 fake men and 1 inspector of police, you know, they've been arrested. Who knows how many more of their types are out there, you know, impersonating state officials and, you know, harassing people and causing problems. The EFCC was able to arrest them based on a tip-off. And we've been told that, you know, members of the community should be vigilant and should also provide information. Well, this has ended well because the persons were apprehended. But usually, you know that Nigerians are very reluctant. Sometimes when they give tip-offs to provide tips-offs to security agencies, you know, the story could end very badly. The EFCC has also asked for the support of the media in this regard to help to amplify this kind of story. I think, yes, that kind of partnership is very important. OG, you talked about poverty. Well, my argument has always been that poverty cannot be an excuse for criminality.
No, it's not.
There are other parts of the world where people are poorer than the people in Nigeria. But because there is a regime of laws, you know, there are do's and don'ts in societies. So you cannot hide under poverty or depression or any form of excuse to sabotage the state, because this is clearly a case of sabotage, and I have no doubt whatsoever that the EFCC would take the matter seriously, because it has to do with their brand, it has to do with their image. Now, the fake court order that they talked about, they said it came from Mushi Magistrate Court.
Yes.
Now, that Mushi Magistrate Court, I think, you know, the state agencies should investigate. Is it possible that there is a cartel in the place? From
No,
where
it's
you,
just a
from
letter.
From
They
where
just
you
wrote a
can
letter.
procure,
No.
from where you can procure, you know, fake stamps, you know, but you know, Mushi Magistrate Court, as we mentioned, they too have an obligation to defend themselves, to disown, you know, these fake Nigerians who are trying to sabotage both the EFCC and the process of law enforcement. And, you know, they should be properly investigated in case they have sponsors, in case they are part of a syndicate, because it may not just be these 3 persons doing this. Maybe they were looking for money for, you know, whatever.
Yeah, but the point is that they had a police officer attached to them. That was a real police officer. That's the issue. Those guys obviously are not EFCC. They were scam artists. All of them, they do the same scam. And this is the story out here.
You have not heard of a policeman who were members of robbery gangs?
Unbelievable.
That's a rogue policeman.
Yes, and he needs to be punished. Rufai.
For me, I think it's the ecosystem that supports crime that people should start to look at critically. So let me start from that court order.
Yes.
You know, you can get that thing almost for cheap. If you go to people close to court, they'll type that thing for you, because they type a lot of court documents on the typewriter
Right.
for less than 200 naira, 300 naira. And if you probably go to a place called Oluwole in Lagos, you'll be able to get any stamp. You know, these are forgers. They'll forge the stamp and they'll put it up for you. So there's a big criminal enterprise coming up. It's always been there in Lagos anyway. Lagos has one of the biggest crime ecosystems in the world, I'll tell you. Very organized crime. And that's where they get all of that from. My second point is, let's not put this to corruption and unemployment. A scammer is a scammer.
Right.
Charles Ponzi didn't need poverty to be able to scam people. Victor Lustig didn't need poverty to be able to scam people. He sold the Eiffel Tower twice to people and they bought it. So the truth is, a scammer is a scammer. That's why they call them con men. They are confidence men. They are confident that when they sell this scam to you, you will take it. So it is for you to beware, and let's try as much as possible to block those ecosystems. And for the police officer, I mean, it's indicative of a lot of things people keep complaining about in the country. When you see police officers, don't challenge me, you challenge them, and they go seriously very mad at you. They try to put fear in people. And that's why people can't challenge once they see a mobile police officer. And the mobile police unit is supposed to be a special elite unit, an elite force. But when you see a mobile police officer doing this, that goes back. And I think that's why there should be more awareness for Nigerians. People should learn to ask more questions in this country. People should be able to challenge police officers anyway. But when you do that too, you have yourself to blame, because you think of your life. But in generality, there's a criminal ecosystem going on, and the authorities should crack it, and we should reduce this. But it's not a case of poverty. I mean, people are poor, but they still look for decent means. Decent mean like the lady Omori was looking for before she met her death. Decent means. Decent means.
Really sad. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today.
Thank
Have a great weekend.
Ojineka.
Next week.
Enjoy your weekend.
I will, for
you
sure.
and Tundun going
We're
out?
doing it. Yes, we are.